Hi, Andy Evans here. This is part 13 of making a guitar in your garage. On the last podcast I was talking about making a fingerboard for the neck of the guitar. I've decided to do a rough carve on the back of the neck just for now, because I'm a bit concerned. A lot of guitar makers would glue the fingerboard on and then they'd carve it afterwards. I don't want any problems. Sometimes if the neck's going to move, it's going to move when you carve it. So what I'm going to do is carve it first. It's a very rough carve, close to the thickness that I want. Obviously I have to put a fingerboard on, so I account for the fingerboard when I carve. I'm going to do a very rough carve, leave it a day or two, see if it moves. Normally they don't really move, you know, but I'm going to do that anyway, because I haven't made a fingerboard yet. I haven't decided exactly what type of fingerboard I'm going to use. So the way to carve it, if you're going to do it by hand, I mean, you can use routers and things like that and set up jigs. But this one, I'm just going to route with a rasp. Not route, I'm going to carve with a rasp. That's the rasp. There. I've already started it. If you look there, I've started the carve on the neck. Clamp this to the bench and just rasp it basically. I've done the same again there at this end. And what I would do next, it's probably a bit dangerous this, but it's a bit risky if you're a beginner. But I would cut this excess off on the bandsaw. Just this excess here, and then I'd carry on with this carving. If I had a spoke shave, it's something like that. Well, that is a spoke shave, but I'd prefer one with a carved, a radius bottom underneath, you know, and you can pull it towards you and carve. I'm using mahogany. Mahogany is easy to work with, so I'll just do it with a rasp and cabinet scraper. You've seen the cabinet scraper before. So that's what I do. So I'm going to do that today. I've penciled a little a line here, just so I don't get too close. I don't know if you can see that, about 4mm. I don't want to take this edge away at all, because I've got to glue the fingerboard on there. So that's already. I'm going to carve that today, leave it for a couple of days, and then I'm going to make a fingerboard, and then glue it on. We'll do the fret slots and then glue it on. What you're aiming for with a finished neck, once your fingerboard's on, you want it a little bit bent forward with nothing on the truss rod, just a slight, very very small slight bend that way. That means that the worst scenario is if your guitar neck bends backwards after it's been fretted, you've got nothing on the truss rod and it's bent backwards. The only way you can cure that, the strings obviously pull it forward a little bit, but if it doesn't pull it forward enough, then it's going to buzz and rattle, and then you've got to put heavier strings on. So when you're making your guitar neck, you've got to figure that out, you know, and you want to put, they call it relief actually. Basically, you want to, when your fingerboard is glued on, you want a tiny bow in the middle. So when you just nip your truss rod up, it makes it straight. So you want it straight basically, with just a tiny bit of truss rod adjusted, you know, not fully, just a little bit. Also, when you fret the guitar, sometimes it can, depending on what frets you use and how big your fret slots are, sometimes it can bend the neck backwards. So you need a bit of relief here, just in case you have that problem, so you undo it. So that's what I'm aiming for, a straight neck with just a touch of adjustment on this at the end before I fret it. Okay, so that's the neck. I'm going to carve that today. As you see, I've started it. When it's got its fingerboard on here, I'm aiming for about 23mm at this end, the body end, and about 19.5 at this end. It's a 43mm wide at the nut, so it won't feel too thin, you know. So that's the plan. I'll put that away for now. On the last podcast, I was routing the control panel at the back. I was talking about how to route it actually. So I've made that so far. That's for the back plate. That's what I was talking about. I routed that out freehand and chiselled it. So I've made that. That's for your back plate. And I've also routed down here for the controls. If you're going to do this, if you're going to route like this on a carved top, it's a carved top and a carved back. You have to be very wary of how deep you go, you know, because if you set your depth here in the middle where the guitar is deeper, when you route down here, you're going to go through the front. So I would do each pot separately. You want about 6 or 7 mil thickness here, so your pot can go through. Thickness there after you've routed 6 or 7 mil. And I would do each pot and be very, very careful, pay attention, and then clean it up afterwards with a chisel or by freehand routing. You know, obviously you don't want to go through the front and have a big hole. So that's ready. One thing, try not to forget this as well. One before you glue your neck on. Another thing, I've made a little channel for where the truss rod adjuster is going to be. You know, this is going to get covered with a piece of wood. I routed that out. I made a template for that actually. So another thing before you glue your neck on, which I've nearly forgot about, is drill some holes for your wires. It's easier to do now, you know. A long drill right through here, through there, and then one through there to the controls. So I've got my work cut out today. That's what I'm doing today. I'm going to carve this neck, trim, as I say, trim up the edges here with the bandsaw. Then I carve with a rasp. Finish off with a scraper. It's only going to be a rough. It's just going to be a rough carve for now, just to see if the neck moves before I put the fingerboard on. And then I'm going to drill these holes here, drill these holes there. I need to decide what type of bridge I'm going to put on. I was looking at some shallow bridges because it's got a carved top. If I put a tremolo on, it needs to be a Floyd Rose or a shallow, like a floating type tremolo. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a tremolo or a fixed bridge yet. I can't do a hardtail bridge. Hardtail is the one that sits on the surface, but you normally need a flat guitar for that. So once I decide what bridge I'm going to use, then I'll drill out the holes and do what I need to do. But I can get the neck on. The neck can be glued. Once the fingerboard's on, the neck can be glued on, and I can do this afterwards. In an earlier podcast, I think it was podcast 10, because I'm doing a 24 fret Gibson long scale, I was talking about these pickups being quite close together, and I was saying that I'd route this in further. That was a mistake. That wouldn't make any difference really. What I was trying to say was maybe on the next guitar I should take this in a little bit further, 5 mil, move the pickups back. The only way I can get those pickups further apart is change the scale length or move the nut backwards a little bit. So I'm going to, on the next one, I'm going to play around with that a little, recess it a little bit further in, and try and get these apart a little bit. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them being so close, but I'd prefer to have the neck 5 mil in. It's a 24 fret neck, so you've got lots of access here to get down here. So that's what I'll do in the next one. This is prototype. Okay, that's it for today. I'll just do a bit of talking today, and I'll do all the work in a minute. As I say, if you've got any suggestions or ideas, or things you'd like to see, you know, tools and things like that you'd like to see, and questions, just drop me a line. I'm going to just show you the guitar now as it's coming along. Put the neck in there. This is what it's going to look like. It's starting, obviously, with this bit carved away. Starting to get quite a nice little shape going on there. I quite like it so far. I'm doing 3 aside machine heads. So I'm going for that. I like the fact that the strings will be slacker. The E and the B will be slacker. You know. and also the G-string won't be as tight as you get, you know, a Fender type guitar. So I'm quite happy with that. It's looking nice, you know. Okay, that's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and leave me a comment.